Hello my darlings, welcome back to part 3 of reading ZADR fanfiction. Today we are on chapter 7 of Friends by Clothebrotato. In the last episode, Prom is on its way, and Dib is contemplating whether, what would it mean to bring Zim to prom, especially because all of the school mates, all of his classmates are teasing them both about their closeness, about their relationship. Even Gaz is like, y'all seem pretty fruity, to say the least. And Zim spent the night at Dib's house, and upon returning to his home, realized they both had school that day. So Dib was freaking out and ran and, was rushing and was running to school, and Zim was all like, relax, we're already late. And so they just made it past the hall monitor to get to class. So that's where we are. Let's see, chapter 7. Zim taps his pencil on his desk. They were in art class. The teacher was out, so they had a sub, which was awesome because they would actually be able to talk to each other. Dib was finishing at his final, and Zim was waiting for his project to be finished drawing. Hey, Zim, can you get me more clay? Dib asks. He was covering his project from Zim. It was a surprise for him. Zim gets up and walks to the clay table. He grabs a huge chunk of clay and slams it on Dib's desk. It was loud enough to draw attention to them. Are you mad at me? Dib asks. What? No, I'm just bored. We should skip, Zim suggests. Dib rolls his eyes. We're not going to do that. Dib grabs a chunk of it and adds it to his project. Zim's phone buzzes and he takes it out. It's a text from Scooge. I met this kid with orange hair. He said he knows you, so I told him that we should hang out after school and eat ice cream, but he said that we could watch a movie or something. Anyways, meet us at the movie theater at 2. See you soon! Zim groans and presses his body onto his desk. Scooge and Keefe are going to the theater. We shouldn't go today. Zim shows Dib the text. I already prayed. Oh wait, were they going to a movie? They might have said something about that. I can't recall. I already paid. They're most likely going to a different movie. If we do end up in the same movie, we can just move somewhere else so it's not that awkward. Dib turns back to his projects. From behind, you can hear some girls giggle. Are you two going on a date? One of them asks, a slight blush on their face. Dib blushes and turns to them. It's not. I'm not gay, I think. Dib readjusts his glasses and awkwardly laughs. The girls laugh. Wait, are you gay, Zim? They turn to Zim. He stares at them, then at Dib. For some reason, he felt like his pack heated up, then his face. They make eye contact. They stare at each other for a few seconds. Zim starts to feel something deep in his stomach. It made him feel good. Zim? Dib asks. Dib's face was slightly red. Zim felt the urge to grab Dib's hands. Zim reaches out and grabs Dib's hands. He holds onto Dib's hands and squeezes them. Zim, what are you doing? Dib asks. The girls must find it cute because they're practically screaming. Zim catches himself and pulls his hand back. He covers his face. Sorry, Dib apologizes. Was that some kind of Arkin thing? Dib asks, looking at his hand. Yeah. Let's just finish our projects. Zim faces forward and looks at his desk. Dib turns back at his project. The girls that were talking to them started a new conversation and were back at their work. And they were back to their work. See you in a few, Dib says, as Zim walks to the front door of his house. He waves goodbye before rushing in and slamming the door behind him. His tallists were on the couch, watching something on the TV. Zim looked like a mess. Are you okay? Red asks, noticing how purple Zim's face was. Zim slowly looks at them. "I held hands with Dib human," Zim says. He smiles and dashes to his room to get ready. "Told you he liked him." Purple leans into Red. After they got to Earth, they noticed how much they acted like a couple and decided to make it official. All they do all day is eat snacks, watch TV, and cuddle. Normal couple things. "But does that kid like him back?" Red asks. "Good question," Purple replies. Zim walks out of his room and leaps out of the house. "We should follow him," Red smirks, and walks off to get their disguises. They put it on and walk out of the door sneakily, following Zim. They didn't have to try hard, because Zim was never very observant when he had his mind set on something. Zim sees Dib waiting outside the theater. When Dib sees him, he stands up and waves. Zim walks over to him. "So what are we watching?" Zim asks as they walk inside. "Well, Keefe and Scooge saw me, so we're watching a romance," Dib starts before Keefe jumps in from behind them. "Are you ready?" he asks, getting really close to Zim's face. Zim scrunches his head back. "Sure," he says unenthusiastically. Keefe nods and backs away. Scooge is already in the theater. "Let's get our popcorn and sit down." Once they set up their candy and popcorn, they walk into the theater. Most people in there are couples. None of them are going to watch the movie. It's only there to set the mood. Scooge waves to them, and they all make their way to him. "I got a good spot. The middle always has the best view," Scooge says. Zim sits down at the end of the row. Dib walks over to the seat next to Zim, but Keefe swoops in and takes it. Zim stares at him before getting up to sit somewhere else. Keefe doesn't get the hint and takes Dib's spot again. "Could you kindly fuck off?" Zim growls. I can't believe he said that, I'm gonna be honest. Keefe looks a little hurt. He nods and gets up. "He probably should sit next to Zim. He seems a little mad," Keefe says, patting Dib's back before sitting down next to Scooge. Dib rolls his eyes and takes the seat next to Zim. "Keefe is so annoying," Zim says quietly. Dib nods. He places down his drink in the cup holder next to him, in between him and Zim. "I got us both straws." Dib reaches into his bag and pulls out 2 metal straws. He looks at them and laughs. Save the turtles. "Here." Zim reaches into his pack and pulls out a giant bag of Twizzlers. He puts it between them and opens it up. "It's way too expensive here. I could get 3 packs at least for a small box here." "Thanks." Dib takes a few out and starts to eat one. The lights in the theater start to dim, and everyone starts to get comfortable. Dib looks at the screen, trying to pay attention to the movie. It was hard to pay attention when he felt the glare from Keefe. Everyone knows that Keefe had a huge crush on Zim. Not a crush, but he really likes Zim as a friend. Keefe probably felt like Dib was trying to take his place as Zim's BFF, even though Zim didn't like him at all. Dib also felt a different pair of eyes on him, from behind. He snuck a look behind him. No one was there, that he could see. In fact, someone was there, the Tallists. They managed to sneak in without paying. How? To be honest, I don't know either. They just walked in. "So, do you think they're gonna reach for popcorn and touch hands?" Purple whispers. "And then kiss?" "Yes." Red nods. They watch Dib awkwardly eat his popcorn. Dib was so nervous, but he doesn't know why. Zim was also nervous. He won't admit it, but he really likes Dib. Zim was trying to get them to hold hands again, but he kept chickening out. Zim slides his hand over to Dib. He reaches out his clawed fingers to grab Dib's pinky finger. He retreats his finger back. Dib notices this and takes a hold of Zim's hand. Zim jumps and leans back into his chair. He glances over to Dib. His face was flushed and was visibly nervous. Zim could also feel how nervous Dib was because his hand was sweaty and shaking. The sweat from Dib's hand burned slightly, but he didn't mind. They sit there for a moment before they before they eat. They sit there a moment before they both lean in for a drink. They stop when their faces are a few centimeters from each other. They both lean back fast. "Sorry," Dib said. "It's fine." Dib turns his head away. Chapter 8. I need to recover a little bit. Okay, I need to recover. Zim looks down at his hand. Dib's fingers were interlocked with his. Zim could feel his heart throughout his entire body. He felt warm. He tried to focus on staying still, but he wanted to squirm around and hold on to Dib more. Dib noticed Zim's little movements. Zim was smiling, but he also looked uncomfortable. "Zim?" Dib asks. "Are you uncomfortable? I can let go." Zim shakes his head and stops squirming. No need. Zim isn't uncomfortable." Zim squeezes Dib's hand. Dib blushes and nods. Dib also felt that way. His heart was racing and his entire body was sweaty. Dib couldn't help but want to look back at Zim. He tried to look away, but his eyes made his way back to Zim until he made eye contact with Keefe. He felt his body sink. Keefe looked like he was resisting the urge to kill Dib, and he also looked hurt. When Keefe noticed Dib's glance, he forced a kind face. Dib slowly looked back at the screen. The Tallists noticed how the two were reacting. They thought it was hilarious. "Oh, just look at them!" Purple snickers. "Why are they so nervous? They're just holding hands." Red lightly pushes him. "You dumbass! Zim probably never gets physical contact like that, and Dib is a kid!" Purple nods and goes back to watching the two of them act like love-starved dogs. As the lights turned on, couples started to leave. Dib looked at Keefe and Scrooge. Scrooge was crying, probably to the movie. "It was so beautiful," Scrooge says, as he starts to walk out. He turns to Keefe to talk about the story. Dib and Zim stayed behind, holding hands. Dib was the first to pull his hand away. Zim felt a little hurt, but he was also glad the burning stopped. Dib noticed steam emerging from Zim's hand. "Oh, Zim! Are you okay?" "Sorry, my hand sweats when I get nervous. It's a gross human thing." Dib laughs nervously. "I'm fine. It didn't hurt." Zim reassures Dib. "That's cute," Red says from behind them. The two of them jump and turn around to see the Tallest standing behind them. What? How did you get here?" Zim yells. The Tallest take this as their cue to leave. They wave bye to them and run out of the room. Zim chases after them, leaving Dib behind with everyone's trash. Dib sighs and picks up everyone's things. He throws them away and goes to find Zim. He found him waiting outside the theater. It started raining. The Tallists had an umbrella with them, so they were able to leave safely. But Zim was trapped. Dib stands next to Zim. They waited for the rain to let up, but it looked like it was just going to get worse. Dib sighs and sits on the floor, resting his head back of the wall of the building. Zim sits down next to him. "So, prom is soon." Dib takes his foot anxiously. "What is it exactly, again?" Zim asks, putting his hand next to Dib's. He's craving for more of Dib's touch. "It's an end-of-the-year dance people go to get wasted and find drama." "Do you want to go with me?" Dib asks. Dib grabs a hold of Zim's hand. "I'll go with you," Zim agrees. Dib tries to keep a straight face, but he can't keep back his giggles of excitement. "Hey guys," Keefe greets from beside them. The pair jumps and looks over at Keefe. He looks pissed. "Hi," Zim greets. Keefe looks at Dib. "Can I talk to you? In private?" "Your house would be private enough," Keefe asks. Dib looks out at the rain. Keefe is probably going to kill him, but what the heck. He'll just hide Zim in his room, so if Keefe attacks him, Zim could just help take Keefe out. "Okay, but it's raining pretty hard. We'll have to wait," Dib says, not ready to get murdered. Oh, don't worry, I have an umbrella. You know, cause Zim can't get wet. Don't worry, I can't either. Keefe hands them the umbrella. Dib takes it. He looks at Zim, confused. What did Keefe mean by that? They walk to Dib's house. Once they get there, Keefe runs to Dib's door. Dib gives the umbrella to Zim and leans in. Wait by my room's window. If you hear me getting killed, save me. Dib pats Zim and walks over to Keefe. They walk inside and go to Dib's room. Dib sits down on his bed, and Keefe stands up in front of Dib. Keefe grabs Dib's hands and shows Dib his hand. What am I looking at? Dib asks. Look at my hand. Notice something? Keefe said, bringing his hand closer to Dib's face. Dib looks at it. He notices it only has 3 fingers. Dib looks up at Keefe, confused. Dib managed to get out. Keefe rolls his eyes. I'm half Urkin. Why do you think I survived Zim's tests? Keefe explains. Dib falls back onto his bed. He sits up and looks at Keefe. Wait, how are you? Urkins have... Dib's face heats up. Keefe slaps him. My mom was an Urkin who left the Armada, whatever that is, and found my dad, Keefe explains. Wait, so why did you tell me this? Dib asks. Keefe sighs. I'm saying that you need to back off. I'm half Urkin. I'm a better fit for Zim. He will be with me, not some human, Keefe says, grabbing Dib's shirt. That's literally the worst excuse for dating someone ever. Dib pushes Keefe out of his way. He stands up. Dib is taller than Keefe, but not by much. Dib still tries to tower over Keefe. I know that Urkins show some respect to taller things, so I think that you should back down. Dib spits. He backs down and takes a step back from Keefe. Keefe looks defeated, but he won't give up without a fight. Keefe turns to walk out of Dib's room. He opens the door and looks at Dib before slamming the door behind him. Dib hears laughing from outside his window. Zim was holding an umbrella and laughing hysterically. Zim climbs into Dib's room. You really used your height against Keefe, the half-Urkin. Zim laughs. I bet I could use my height against you, Dib challenges. Oh really? I could get past you. Zim stands in front of Dib. Dib is much taller than Zim. Dib grew a lot during the years that they've known each other. Zim, however, only grew a tiny bit. So what do you want me to submit to? Dib asks. Well, Dib starts. Wait, I'll just submit to your mood. Zim stands ready. He's staring directly at Dib. Dib looks around, then gives in to Zim's request. He forces himself to seem taller. Zim starts to shake and breathe heavily. Dib starts to get a little worried. Zim's face is turned up a deep shade of purple. How dare you get tall? Zim huffs. He tries to match Dib's height, but he eventually falls to the ground, panting. Dib crouches down to his height. Are you okay? Dib asks. You're mean for being tall. Zim pushes him slightly and stands up. I'm waiting here until the rain stops. I need to prepare for prom or whatever it is. Zim walks over to Dib's bed and lays on it. Dib sits next to him. Sorry for my genetics, Dib says, taking Zim's wig off. They sit in silence for a bit. I wonder how Keefe found out about me being Urkin, Zim thinks out loud. Well, he's half Urkin. Maybe he felt some weird connection, Dib replies. They sit in silence for a while, thinking. Chapter 9. A few days had passed, and it was now the day of prom. Zim was asked by a few people, surprisingly. He refused them all because there was only one person he wanted to go with. Dib, on the other hand, was asked by one person. That person actually wasn't a person, though. It was Zim. Dib looked in the mirror. He felt ugly, and that Zim wouldn't like how he looked. He tried to fix his hair, try new glasses, no glasses. Then he looked over at Gaz. She's changed a lot. She started wearing makeup because she streams on Twitch and people would call her ugly. Hey Gaz, Dib starts before Gaz throws her makeup back at him. Cover up your ugly face. You're never gonna make Zim like you looking like that, she says. She looks back at her game. To be fair, we've held hands like 3 times. Dib opens up the bag and takes out what he needs. When he was done, he looked at himself again. He didn't look that bad. Thanks, Gaz. Go suck a dick. Gaz rolls her eyes. That's my plan. Oh, goodness. Dib says before walking out the door. He thinks to himself for a second. Wait, does Zim even have a... Zim was already at school when Dib showed up. Zim was excited to spend time with Dib in this kind of setting. He spent all night watching movies with Prom in it. He practices dancing and things he would say to Dib. He was just in a normal tux with a UFO tie, but Zim was in a gender-neutral tux dress thing. It looks good on him. My girlfriends helped me get something that made me feel comfortable. How do you wear that? It hurts. Zim pokes Dib's stomach. What do you mean it hurts? Dib asks. Zim blushes and looks the other way. Never mind that. Let's just go inside. Zim opens the door and walks inside, holding it open for Dib. They walk inside and a teacher stops them. Can I see your passes, or do you need to buy one? She asks. Dib takes out his wallet and pulls out 2 $10 bills. I'll pay for the both of us, Dib says, handing her the money. She types something in a calculator and hands them back 2 tickets. Give this to the person at the gym entrance. Have fun, you two. She gives them a wink. Dib awkwardly walks past her, and they walk to the gym. Ugh, it smells in here, Zim says as he looks around at the sea of kids. They're all teenagers who don't bathe or wear deodorant. You'll get used to it, Dib explains. No, it's not. You wouldn't understand. Zim looks down at the floor and rocks back and forth on the balls of his feet. What would I understand? I've known you for a few years, and I've been alive for 16 years. I think I could have a little understanding. Dib looks down at Zim. Zim seems uneasy. Well, it's when... Zim tries to explain, but he's getting all flustered. Dib decides to shrug it off. Anyways, do you want something to eat? I bet there's candy or something that you can get to eat. Dib grabs Zim's hand, and they walk over to the concessions. Since their school is cheap and everything is ridiculously expensive, they realize that $20 for 2 drinks and the candy bar is bullshit and left. Dib leans against the wall and slides down it. Zim stands next to him. Maybe we could dance? Zim asks, holding a piece of paper that has prom movie quotes. Sure. Dib stands up and grabs Zim's hand. He guides him to the dance floor. They push their way to the crowd of drunken high teens. They find a spot and start to awkwardly dance with each other. The music stops and the DJ cuts in. Hey, hey, hey! I have a feeling 2 people walked into the dance floor to dance to some fun music, but I'm gonna try some slow music because it's prom cliché. Zim looks around at everyone. They all turn to their partner. Zim looks at Dib. He was his date to the dances, so that means they had a dance with each other. This prom feels like it was made by a 16-year-old girl who never went to prom and is basing it off the school dances they go to and movies, Dib says, which is overly specific. Zim shakily puts a hand on Dib's waist. Dib follows along and they start dancing to the music. It was awkward at first, but they soon got comfortable with each other. Zim rested his hand on Dib's chest, wanting to hear his heartbeats. Dib runs his hand down Zim's back and holds onto his pack. His pack was warm. He lowered his hands to Zim's lower back. Zim tenses up a bit, but relaxes back down. Zim suddenly tensed up, then went limp. Dib opened his eyes and looked down at Zim. He backed up slightly and Zim started falling. He caught him and laid him down. Dib looks up and sees Keefe. He was holding Zim's pack. End of chapter? Well, I originally was going to do 4 chapters this episode because these were really short chapters. But Keefe is now pulling a fast one with the cliffhangers. So I think I'm going to leave it there and pick this up next week because I'm actually a bad person. So, that was for, even though these chapters were kind of short this episode, a lot happened. I was like, okay, anyways. So, wow. Keefe pulling up with the fucking it's either me or no one, like that one TikTok trend or whatever. If I can't have you, no one can kind of thing. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if you liked it, tell me. If you're angry at me, yeah, whatever. Wow. And I'll see you guys next week with part 4. Peace. I love you. Don't forget to drink water and love yourself because I love you. Goodbye. He didn't look that bad. Okay, edit this out, me. But what the fuck am I just about to read? What the actual crap am I about to read? What the